like we're up. Green, audio, video, up and running. Good afternoon, good morning, good morning. Silence at that end so far. Usual suspects, thank you. Okay, work today. Work today. You know where we got to the other day? I finished carving all the hands and stuff. It turned out that the faces are a little bit too blurred here. They're visible, but it's a little bit too blurred. So I took the time, I stepped back, brought out the iPad, and I traced again. They're not refreshed yet. That's what we're going to do while you guys watch. We have them ready. I took the Photoshop file with the layer that I had traced. And even though you saw me tracing, it wasn't so delicate, beautiful calligraphy. By the time you shrink it down 500%. Okay, so we now have it printed out. A bit too much spray glue. We have the faces printed out on thin Gampi paper. But the question is, how to get those lined up exactly right to get it pasted down. How would you do it? Because this is in a random place on the sheet. Just the photocopy just gives me the two faces in a random place on the sheet. And somehow these have to be glued down exactly right. So what we're going to do is Hanami Cats printed by Moko Hankan or by Jed's staff. There's a confusion coming out because Jed is having prints made in other places. The Hanami Cats are done here. The two that are ready so far, the Sushi Cats and Hanami Cats, carved here, printed here. And you can see the difference. Some of the other woodblock prints on Jed's website are made by William Francis, and made by Stephen Winiecki, a few other people he's using. For Hanami, we've sent it to him. In fact, the box is in customs right now. It's in customs in Oakland. So the Hanami Cats prints, the first batch, 30 or whatever we sent him, they're in customs right now, and they're due to arrive at Jed's place this afternoon or tomorrow. So if they're not on his website, I think his policy was he didn't put them on the website until he had the actual physical prints in hand. I need some tape. That's finished. Not on the website, I just checked. Well, like I said, it'll be anyway, any minute now. Literally any minute. The prints are in the latest FedEx package. Okay, I gotta skip. I gotta get a piece of tape. Back in a second. I don't know. No, I don't have any. Sorry, just a minute. Where is the green tape when you need it? Okay, what we're going to do, well, rather than explain it, I'll just do it. Just relax a second here. We have registration marks on the wood. We have carbon paper. I'm going to put a blank sheet of paper in the registration marks. And for insurance, paper's out, yes, thank you. Paper's out for Dei-chan is printing Cats number 2. And Ayumi-san is printing, I don't know what she's printing, Patreon Shibis. Ishikawa-san has finished her batch of the number 8 print, the August print in this year's series, and it's a nice little story too. I checked them all yesterday to get ready to send over to Ome. I sent them over to Ome for getting ready for shipping. And just as I was getting the package ready to pack up, Jed-san phoned by Skype. We were talking about the next design down the road. So I said, Jed, we got something to show you. And I showed him number 8, the finished number 8. I don't have it here. I showed him the finished number 8. And whatever, he and I have these conversations. Sometimes he's, oh, that's okay, that's nice, good, turned out over 8. And sometimes he's, I know, maybe we can do better next time. And sometimes, this time, he just looked at it and he's like, just for the first little bit, silence. It really, really has come out well. Whatever, we have the same conversation all the time. It really, really has come out well. And he was stunned, and he's just like, oh my God, it's like it's better than Hasui or something like this, whatever. So the first batch is done. Ishikawa-san did them. First batch is done. Ayumi-san is working on a group upstairs. She's working back and forth with the Patreon chibis. And then the third group will be done probably by Suga-san. Okay, too many talk, not enough work. What I've done, blank piece of paper on the partially carved block with carbon paper facing up. This is modern carbon paper. It's crap. So it doesn't really do a good job. What I want to do here is I need some lines. Some of the carved lines that we've done. Move the carbon paper. It's just crap stuff, this modern carbon paper. I guess so nobody uses it, so whatever. So you see what's happening here. We've got the paper in the registration marks, and doing the carbon paper is going to show me those lines that I've already carved. The faces don't come out because they're just blank wood. But it shows me the lines of the kimono near the faces. And when I did the tracing the other day, remember you saw me do that. I put in some of the kimono lines near the faces. And that's going to be my clue here to get these lined up. Okay, that boy's lines are visible there. This boy's lines. Got to get a bit closer to his face there. Okay, that should do us. Not quite enough there. Off she comes. This is transferred from our key block. We are now going to peel off the carbon paper. Oh, look at that. That's a test printout from print number 11, this year's series. There you are, the first side of it. Print number 11 in this year's series. That's the key block. What is the image going to be? There's our position. What's the green sticker? It's a piece of tape. Tape, sorry. Autobot holding messages, please allow the post. Koringami's recent post is held for reason for identity. I think I'll allow it, Koringami. No idea why. No idea. Question: which one is Cats number 2? Cats number 2 is it's on the Cats website update page. It's the cat in the house spraying water on the bonsai plant, and it is just whatever. Dave just gets too repetitive here. It's going to be fantastic. It looks so much better than the samples we've got on the website. Am I going to remove the face transfers that are already on the block? We are going to do that right now. I can just check before I do it, because once I erase those, that's it. That's crossing the Rubicon here. I think I'm okay. Let me just check this again before I move ahead with this. This is going to go in the registration marks carefully, and it's going to get pasted down. And does it look like we're lining up? Yes, of course it looks like we're lining up. Like there's anything I could do about it at this point, but yeah, it's there. So here we go. We're now going to wash off the other faces. It's funny about the moderation. I don't quite know why that's, you said the N and the IG. That may be the same thing. Yesterday, the other stream the other day, somebody posted from the Philippines and he put the name of his town in. And the town name or the area name was Negros, Negros. It said Negros, Philippines. And the Twitch machine held that one for moderation too. So it could be that this is why the machine there is holding some of these posts. It's trying to stop hate speech and stuff, I guess. That could be happening lots, and I just don't see it. I happened to notice that one before it scrolled out of the view, so... Fair enough. I guess if there has been a lot of trouble on Twitch with people posting crap, then I guess it's fair enough. I'm not upset about this. Whatever. Okay, let's go. The block is now moist already. Let's put some glue on. We're using the white glue. We don't use the mucilage glue. For the key blocks, it's always the strong white glue, but dampened just a little bit. Here she goes. Carefully, Dave. We have two fresh, clean, replaced faces. Let me have a look under the scope here. I'm not eyeballing this. Absolutely, I'm not eyeballing this. Absolutely not. That's in the registration marks. No eyeballing here at all. Did you see what I did a few minutes ago? I guess, are you just coming in a bit late here? Absolutely no eyeballing. And yeah, the parts that overlap now overlap. We're okay. We got her. We got her. The parts that are already carved. I think I get it, but I still don't get it. Well, I'm not quite sure what I can add to this. Just to recap it again, I had the paper printout, which I knew was at the same scale because I printed it on the same copy machine at the same setting that I did the original tracing. So I had the two heads, but they were just in a random location, just on a piece of random paper. So I used carbon, put paper in the registration marks with carbon paper to give me the position. Whatever, if you saw it, you saw it. I'm sorry, I don't know what else to say. So go back and look at it later. I know this is all being recorded and saved. Go back to look at it later. And I went through it quite carefully. No eyeballing. Anyway, let's get going. Now, I'm not going to try and do a total peel like we usually do. Of course, this is not pasted down. So I am just going to put your scorecards away. I am just going to peel back with my finger the area around the face. I can't do a full across peel because it's not pasted down everywhere here. What I'll also do is I'll do just one here. If I peel them both off now, it leaves the exposed lines. And while I'm carving one, my hand rubs on the other and spoils it. So I'm going to leave one of them as it is. Sorry for the mess with my finger and tongue here. Some people got really upset about that on the YouTube videos, you know. In the Twitch stream we did, the 3-hour Twitch stream to make a print, it's now on YouTube as a single long YouTube. And one of the most common comments it gets is how people are grossed out. I was doing this part, I lick my finger and wipe it down. And I'm not sure, many people find that like so gross that I shouldn't have done it in public. And I don't know, what am I supposed to do? Get a little sponge pad here and dab into it? Am I not allowed to use my tongue? You know, I don't know. I guess different people are turned on and turned off by different things, but whatever. Okay, there we have one beautifully sharp, clear image ready for carving. Cool, much better. I'm really glad I took the time to do that. I should have done it first a few years ago when I prepared this block, but I was just thinking, I'm so good, it's okay, just flap it down, I can carve anything, you know, whatever. Nice, nice. Okay, today's stream. What's going to be happening on today's stream? I'm going to be carving this head now. It's 8:19. I'm going to be carving this head. There's a couple of things. I have a couple of things ready prepared for the show and tell that we do at the end of the stream here. And the reason I'm a bit vague is I have a new one prepared. It's a small little item. It may be booted out of the way because there's a delivery expected this morning from the post office. You know, you sometimes the tacky bean guy brings those boxes, and sometimes the post office will bring a package of a print or so. There's one due this morning from the post office, and it's really a special item that would really, really be fun to show you. It's a little bit too big to show on the desk. It may or may not show up in time. So whatever, that's just sort of plan B. If it doesn't show up in time, we'll look at it on Monday. But before we have the regular show and tell, we have a bit of show and tell recap. The other day I showed you some old wood blocks. I took quick printings of them and didn't quite understand what they were. There's been a ton of feedback Some people did some research, dug around, found some information, showed a bit of it in the last stream. We've got some more, so we'll do a little bit of a recap on that previous show and tell, the silkworm stuff. It's all pretty much figured out now what those sheets are for and how they were used. So at the end of today's stream, when it gets to show and tell time, we'll have a little bit of a, what's the word? A recap, I guess is the word for it, or whatever. So. I'm worried about accidentally ingesting glue. There's no glue involved here. It's just a moist finger rubbing a piece of paper. But anyway, enough of that. Enough of that. Okay, let's have a go. I think the knife is, yeah, the knife is good enough for this. Let's get started. This part of it now, carving stuff like this is the most pleasant part of my job. And hacking away at all kinds of other lines is fun, but getting the knife in and doing hair, this is where it's really, really fun. And especially when you got a beautiful, nice piece of wood like this. So all the work on this print so far, doing the kimono lines, cutting this, cutting that, doing the fingers and feet, it's all warm-up, really. Well, I shouldn't say that because the old guy's Ito-san, he sort of told me off. Not told me off, but one of the conversations I'd had with him, I'd said, you know, do you save the faces for the last? And I think in the part of the video that I put up in that last YouTube video, I said, you know, when I'm carving the face, it's like, hold my breath and stuff like that. And he first agreed with me, yeah, you know, okay. But then a minute later, he said, you know, that's not right, you know. That adds too much stress to it. And again, because it's so many years ago, I can't remember the exact point of the conversation, but his point was that every line in the print, you can't think of it, oh, now I'm getting to the important part, this is not important. It's all the same, it's all the same. Whether it's a line of a kimono or something in the background or the person's face, whatever, you can't treat any of it any differently. It's just whatever, cut one line, cut the next line, move on, cut the next line, you know. And I get it. In theory, I get it, you know. If you're good at cutting lines, you cut lines, and it doesn't matter what part of the image they're at, you know. And if you try and stress part of it, oh my God, here we go, I'm going to hold my breath and do this, then clearly that part of it, those lines are not going to, they're not going to work, they're not going to sing, you know. So the theory is that it's all the same and it doesn't matter, and just chop and chop and chop. You know. But in real life, I don't know. Is there any carver so experienced and so blasé and so perfect at this that it's all the same? Really? He cuts the eyes with the same feeling that he would cut some invisible part in one corner? I don't know. It reminds me, it's like when I did some archery lessons, just when my kids were still small and in school, our community in Hamaramachi, back in Hamara, I got a flyer in the mail one day that said, why don't you try Kyudo, the ancient art of Japanese archery? You know, they were looking for people in the community. So I went along, and I did actually for a year, just about a year, I did join the local archery class just to get sort of a taste of it. It wasn't something I was going to do for a deep, involved career or anything, but I really wanted to just get a taste of how it was going to work, you know. So it was like once every Wednesday morning for a couple of hours at the local sports center, you know. And the episode that's relevant to the conversation I just had right now is that the master guy there, the experienced guy, the old dude who was teaching us how to do this, you know. We had all been, as we practice every Wednesday, we practice, and we're like, we got to hit the target. We got to hit the target. There's the target down there. That's the point. You get your bow and arrow, and you got to hit the target, right? And he's like, in his philosophical talking to us, it's like the target is irrelevant. You can guess how the conversation would go. He said, it's the dance, it's the motion, it's the breathing, it's the losing your mind into godness, the kind of conversation that an archery teacher would come into. He says the black dot in the middle of that circle down there, that's the last thing we care about, and we're like, really, okay, one day maybe I will reach nirvana, I will get the right motion, I will get this and that, But we're beginners, so we stand up there, and of course we're trying to hit the target, whatever. So that's the background. Then one day, he's, okay, it's time for his demonstration, and we're sitting there on the cold platform shivering, and he says, okay, it's time for a demo. So he gets up and does the demo. And it's cool. His feet swish across the floor, his hakama skirt, and the motion, and we're concerned, okay, I see, it's ballet, and he did the thing, and he pulls his arm back, and whatever, and it was perfect, And then the arrow goes, shoom, and it's like it even misses the target. It hits the sand at the back, whatever. And his face, I will never forget this. His face went, oh shit. He didn't say anything, but his face said, oh shit. And in that moment I thought, everything you told us up to now, the grace, the ballet, it's not about the target, all that stuff, everything you told us, it's bull feathers. Your face told me you wanted to hit that target, I guess I shouldn't try and diss the guy. He was really a cool, gentle old man. He must be long gone right now. So I'm not trying to shoot at him. But all that other stuff about the ballet and the dancing, and I'm going to cut perfect lines, and it doesn't matter if I'm carving a face or if I'm carving a useless kimono line or whatever, that's all some sort of ideal maybe, or a goal or something. But down here on the ground, we human beings, we want to hit the target, And he denied it in words, but his face showed absolutely. It said, oh shit. Akiyama Sensei, really, really, really nice guy. Not pretentious, not full of, just whatever. He was happy that we were there trying to learn a little bit about Kyudo. He knew we weren't going to be, lifelong devotees. He was just happy to show us something about his sport, his life. Really, really, really nice guy. I met him through his daughter. She worked for the Mainichi newspaper and interviewed me. Video interview. That was a funny one too. I'm not talking about Akiyama Sensei there, the Kyudo Sensei, the teacher there, I said he was a real nice guy and not pretentious and just happy and blah, blah, blah. But he had an assistant, and his assistant was, 30 or something, or 35, young guy, strong, guts, brow, bang, shoot it, brow, bang, shoot it. And that guy was not so, he poured it onto us. He was good, and we were lice, and it didn't matter, And that was no fun. When he took over some of the classes, it was no fun, And maybe we learned more, and he's saying, you're no good, look, put some strength here, do this, come on, do what I told you, He was unpleasant, but I guess whatever. It's sort of like, I don't know, were they playing good cop, bad cop, I don't know. But Akiyama Sensei was just, yeah. This is nice wood. Nice wood, you know. Here we go, coming out. I should check more often, I'm sorry, not checking this, I know. I'm missing a lot of this. Hope there's no question. Something again, as mentioned before. I read this through at Shimbun. Yeah, Mainichi newspaper. Mainichi is every day. It's the name of one of the famous newspapers in Japan. The Mainichi newspaper. I think it's a third-ranked newspaper here. Yomiuri Shimbun is the biggest. Asahi Shimbun. Yomiuri is right-wing #1 newspaper. The Asahi Shimbun is the left-wing version, and Mainichi is just sort of an everyday in the middle newspaper. They put me on the front page. It was funny, you know. His daughter came to do a video interview. This was like 1991 or something, and they brought an actual camera. I mean, as in like when they make movies, it's with the big tape and stuff that goes around. I'd never seen one of those before, and they're in my little room, and they got lights and stuff. And it wasn't for TV. It was for what they called newsreels. This tells you how old I am. They made a newsreel clip for me, and it's actual, you know, like 35mm movie stuff. And newsreels used to be when you went to see a movie, maybe they still do this, I don't know. It's, you know, today's news or whatever. And it's a 35mm news. So they made a little thing about me. And this girl, Akiyama-san's daughter, was the Mainichi reporter who was reporting on that newsreel. I'd love to have a copy of that. I'd love a copy of that. You go in the movie theater, sit down in the dark, and the news and stuff comes on, and then the feature, little 5-minute feature before they show the video. And there's this foreigner who's learning Japanese ukiyo-e, you know. I'd love to see that, and I'd just laugh myself silly, I'm sure, you know. Yeah, newsreel. Do they still do that? I don't think so. Everybody's got their news on the iPhone. Here we go. There it is, 8:32. The Korean hot dog garbage truck arrives. Soka. Speaking of newsreels, you know, that jogs me something. I got an email in my box this morning from Jed-san. Nothing to do with our work. We were talking about the print the other day. But there's an email from Jed this morning said, you've got to look at this. And he linked me to a YouTube video. And what somebody has done is somebody got some Meiji era, not Meiji era, Taisho era, 1912, 1913, 1914. They got some video from Japan. And this guy has figured out a way to, he's done it in 4K, he's digitized it, he's colorized it, he's put sound in, and it's insane. I can't just talk it at you without showing it. I'll pass you the link that Jed gave me. Here it is. And this is insane. It's about 4 minutes altogether. And most of it, the first 2/3 of it, is filmed not only in Asakusa, a bunch of it is filmed on this street. This thing I'm going to post to you right now. It's a YouTube link. It's about 5 minutes of restored video from Japan. And when you're looking at it later, you'll see it near the beginning, there's some shops. Then you see a wide street going into the distance with signboards. That's where, outside audio, turn it off. Goodbye, garbage. The signboard, that's what they call Rock Broadway, the street that's just down where the McDonald's and Don Quixote is right here. And then the next little scene comes, you'll see a street in that video with a bunch of flags all coming in from the side. That's my street, and somewhere in that little tiny clip of video that with all the people buzzing around all the flags, somewhere in there is my shop, isn't it? They did facial restoration. I'm just passing on what I do. I don't know any more details and backgrounds about this, but I tell you, there's some astonishing video. And the other thing, when you see this, is look at all those kids. It's Rugrats border to border. All you see is kids everywhere. And I guess this is it, Japan, in the early part of the 19th century. The population is now stunningly growing. They figured out maternity health care, clean water and sewage and all that kind of stuff, and the population is just exploding. and there are rugrats everywhere. It's really, really, really cool. Yeah, it must be something that's being passed around. It hit Jed, and then it hit me this morning, and I was confused at first. Wow, cool sound. The sound is all artificial. Artificial meaning and all. The sound is not from the original video. There was one part, I heard a girl in the shop say, "Irashaimase." I thought, wow, it sounds exactly just like a new video. And it is. So the sound is not original. And I'm curious when they say facial restoration. Like what? But it's my street. And then they go over to Sensoji, and that looks exactly the same. It looks like nothing's changed. John, you say you saw the video a few days ago. Why didn't you tell me about it or tell us about it? The garbage happened quickly today. Sometimes he seems to be there for ages. Today it was in and gone. What is it? Thursday. Hundred years from now, someone's going to get one of these Twitch clips from this street, and they're going to digitize it and colorize it and whatever, turn it into 4D, whatever it is they do 200 years from now. So. They can extract the crow DNA from the sound of the crow going by or something, or whatever they're going to do, Yeah, I was astonished by the kids, how many kids were in that video. It's just incredible. I guess it makes sense, these days, many women are not having children. The average is like whatever, 2 per woman or something, or 1.5 or whatever. But back then, the numbers would have been astonishing. It would be like 4, 5, 6, or 7, whatever, number of kids per woman, So of course, society must have just been full of kids everywhere, The other thing that struck me by that video was when I first saw it, if I hadn't recognized the Asakusa part of it, whatever, I might have thought, this doesn't look Japanese to me, this looks a lot more Chinese, the clothing and stuff like that. But it's clearly Japan. Okay, there's one ear done. There's our joint. That line's carved already. We're joining now with a new section here. This line's actually already carved, so there's the... Haven't heard the vacuum cleaner lady yet. Is it about time for her to come out a bit early? Yeah, these are crows in the background, yeah. Crows, crows, crows. How's our time? We're okay, sure. 42. Must be just about vacuum time. I guess it's kind of a soundscape, I kind of like this, those sounds each morning. There's just the random trucks, the shutters opening, this and that happening, every now and then a crow in the background, I would imagine perhaps if I jump forward to some future part of my life when I'm living somewhere else and different things are going on, and I heard the audio of this, it would just jump you right back. Oh, that's when I used to live in a Saxa, that soundscape, Okay, let's do some of this here. The hairs on this head, we're not going to give this the whole 5-step treatment of delicate, tiny ukiyo-e hair like you do on a large bijinka tomato or something. We did the large hairs, and each hair, to try and recap, when we were carving the hairs on a larger print, you've got your zigzag, the hairs are all coming out. Each hair, there's a line to show you where to go. Then each hair is carved once and then twice, leaving a triangle. Then there's this cut number 3, which bevels, and cut number 4, which bevels. So the finished hair is beveled in, and it's also beveled down into the depth of the block. So in the larger prints, every hair gets carved 1, 2, 3, 4, and with this 5th line. Today on this little print, there's no way at the scale we're talking about that makes any sense whatsoever. It wouldn't even be visible. So these hairs are just getting carved like lines. I'm going to try and leave the black part and cut away the white part. So each hair will be a tiny, thin triangle coming from the base of his hair, coming out to the tip. And there is one hair left over. It widens at the base and it thins out at the tip. And there's no way, in any way, that we would try and do the 5-step hair carving procedure on something at this scale. Oh, there's the vacuum cleaner coming. If you can see what's happening here, I'm carving with my left hand, but this is blocking. My finger here is acting as a block. So the knife is coming down, and I'm using my right hand fingernail to do the driving here. I'm rolling my finger and letting the knife slide down that hair. So I'm not just carving free here. Supported all the way. Same finger in place for a block, knife in place, roll the finger to let the knife move. You can't see any, they're so small. I don't know if I can get any closer. Well, that's about it. That's as far as we can go. When I did many hours of carving a day, did I get a slit on my nail? You mean like the place I'm pushing right now? No, I mean this is just this particular shape that I'm carving right now for a few minutes. It's bumping my nail. I guess if I did the same carving every day, yeah, the nail would get bumped there. But no, a few minutes later here, I'll be doing it in a different way from a different place. So no, there's no damage happening here. It's just for that particular shape at that particular angle. That's what I did, you know. Where I used to get it when I carved a lot is right here. The skin here in my middle finger. Most of the carving is like this. I'm pulling the knife, I'm holding it back with the middle finger. So that part underneath my nail there got a callus. It developed a bit of hardness. Now it's not there. It's all just soft skin again because I don't do enough carving. But when I was full-time carving, yes, this skin here becomes hard It's why you press. It's like people that, have a pencil, right? You write with a pencil, you get that hard spot on your fingers where they touch the pencil. There was a fun conversation one day with Matsaki-san. I was at a party. Somebody had invited a bunch of us craftsmen to a party. It was an interior decoration place. They'd be using our prints as decorations in their interior decorations showroom. And they invited a bunch of the craftsmen, and me included, to one of their parties. And at some point during the party, I don't remember how the conversation started. Yeah, I do remember how it started. Somebody had looked at my hands and said, "You don't even look like a craftsman. Your hands are all, soft. You look like an office worker or something, and we're all laughing. And then one of the guys who was a printer, he held his hand out. And maybe I was pointing out to these people, look, there's a printer. You can see he's got calluses here and here from the Baron and whatever. And a carver would have a callus here, here, here. And you could, the guys could hold their hands out. And without knowing until he explained what his job was, you could look at his hand and yeah, he's an ukiyo-e printer or he's ukiyo-e carver, And Dave didn't really show much of either of these. He showed a little bit of both of them, but no strong calluses because he switched. Dave here switches to being a printer part of the time, carver part of the time, printer part of the time, office worker part of the time. So I never developed any of the deep, strong calluses that the guys do who just did one job all the time, every day. I remember that too at the party. Once the conversation got developed in there, other people started sticking out their hands. People that weren't woodblock printmakers. And like, what job does this guy do? And the idea came up during that session, and I guess it never got followed up. It would be a great idea. I think we talked about it before. You could get your camera. John Becker, get your camera. Go around Tokyo to different craft workshops. Talk up the guys. Get them to show you their hands. And you got a photo top, photo bottom, whatever. This is the spread on one page of the book. There's the hands. What does this guy do for a living? And by looking at the calluses, you got to try and figure out, oh yeah, he holds something there. Oh, he's a guy who sews tatami mats or whatever, Then on the next page, you show the guy, show the calluses, show how he does his job. That would be a book to die for. I'd love to see that. It wouldn't have to be just in Japan. It could be worldwide. Those particular calluses on this particular man, woman, hand, whatever. Show the calluses first on one page. Let it sit. You got to think about it for a while. Then on the next page, show the person and their life and what they're doing, That would be such a cool book. One of my convenience stores is selling Gatsby brand wipes. That's something I don't know about. I'm sorry, I don't know about that. So Lots of French here today. Hee hee hee. I can read it, but I can't join in and type it. Not about to try speaking French. Sorry. It's in there somewhere from school days, growing up in Canada. But there's no way I would try and speak French. I'm sorry. So. Oh, it's the construction truck for the project next door. The place where Bar Emmy used to be, they're turning it into something. And the construction is now proceeding apace. They're not working every day, but every few days these guys pull up and get in there and open the door and get busy with some other construction. So it's moving forward. Some kind of food thing, we think. It's probably going to be some kind of stand. People buy food and eat it outside. Still not sure about that, but... just the next change in a success. It's been changing all the time. You know, that video that we linked to at the beginning here, showing this very street, from the viewpoint of people in that era, this street is now just a shadow. It's a dead shadow. Because back then it was a vivid, lively, fabulously busy street. And from their point of view now, it's just gone, finished. And some of the older guys here, the guy with the whale restaurant, you know, the guy with the theater next door, you know, they remember bits of that. They feel like they're part of that tradition, you know. So these shops, the Korean stuff and this one, that, they're bringing life to this street, you know. So it's easy for us to complain. They have too many customers. Customers are lining up, eating food on the sidewalk, blah 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 blah. But those businesses are they're lively, they're alive. They're bringing people in and they're providing value. And if every street on this shop was a woodblock print shop like mine, this would be Death Valley, you know. So not to complain about those guys, you know. We have our back and forth about the way to use the space and stuff like that. Tools, anything interesting you're unloading? Shoes, I see a pair of shoes. What's that? I'm not worried about the French here. It's fine if there's sub-conversations going on here. We can't all understand everything here, so it's okay. I don't think this was drive-by, right? This was actual real conversation. I got no problem with having other languages here, so, you know. Those dogs, I think, are regulars too. I don't see them every day, but I think they come by all the time. So, how's our time? We're okay still? It must be okay. 9:02. Okay, give me a jog around 9:15 or so. coming along, eh? Here, you can beaver along, you know. This is a productive little work. You can imagine if I was just sitting here all day doing this, how long would it be to get this face done? A couple of hours maybe to do the face. Move along, do the other boy, a couple of hours. This work is really, you know, quite productive work if you have time to sit down and do it and just keep at it. Block is carved over to the printers, away they go, bang, out she goes. It's hugely productive work. You know. We all have this impression of woodblock printmaking as being my God, so much labor and it's so slow and blah, 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 blah. It's very, very efficient, you know, very efficient. A good craftsman can get so much work done, you know. Yes, this is boxwood today, not cherry. Nice hard piece of boxwood. The nails are too long again just because I'm just careless, that's all. There's no specific need for long nails here. Just careless. I get the shower upstairs on the 3rd floor, but stuff like my nail clipper that's down on the 2nd floor in my bedroom. By the time I get down there, I've forgotten about it, so no, they need cutting. I'm sorry, they're too long. Yeah. There's one of them that helps. So when you're carving, like I said, having this nail a bit long, that does help because that supports the knife here like this. But the rest of them, it's just carelessness. You know. It's the same as my hair. It's okay right now, but it frequently gets too long, and again, it's just laziness / carelessness, not taking care of it carefully enough, you know. I'll wait for time, okay? Still a bit. Oh, I know another thing I meant to mention today. I forgot already. The collection side of things here. The last couple of weeks I've been mostly focused on bookkeeping and accounting work because of the year end, our financial year end. Most of that's now behind me. Not completely finished, but most of it's now behind me. So I've got back to now, I've been doing more work in photography and preparation for the collection. And a bunch of new stuff went up to the Mokohankan collection over the past couple of days. I told you before I put some of those Meiji era Akashi Surimono up. There's now dozens and dozens and dozens of them up. I should get a quick link. I know. A quick link. A whole bunch of new prints went up. Hit the name. $37. I don't remember the number. Well, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. Emails, a million emails back and forth. 24. We added a whole bunch, Roseanne added a whole bunch of new prints to the 24 group that are in there. Where are we here? Hi, this is the group. Somebody's probably already beat me to it in the thing here. Here. This is the Taisho era subscription prints. And there's a bunch of new ones gone in there. And these are beautiful, 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 beautiful. If you click through later on to look at this group, at the end of the group there's also a few there, number 7 and number 11 in that group. And we can't quite figure out who they are. So anybody who's got time on their hands, if they want to take a look at some of these, we can't figure out. They're all kabuki play references, but we can't find the actual reference. So if you've got nothing to do, take a look at some of those. 24007, for example, and 24011. This one, eh? And we're stuck. And all the prints in that series are adapted from. They're not straight reproductions from old prints. They are adapted from old prints. We've had trouble finding the original for some of them. I think it's time, isn't it? I'm going to leave this here. So much to do here, so much to do. Okay. Put the carving away for a few minutes. Okay, recap. We had the other day, I showed you, Chantel. The other day I showed you some of these wood blocks. We've got 3 or 4 wood blocks that are from late Meiji / early Taisho time. At first I thought they were for arithmetic practice or stuff like that, or for writing calligraphy. Turns out no. They were designed to print a bunch of squares on a piece of paper like this sort of thing. The squares have numbers in them. We have 2 or 3 of these different wood blocks with 2 or 3 variations of patterns of the squares. I showed these to you the other day, and at the time I didn't have a clue. Step 2 was that we were looking at translating some of these, and some of these things are marked as they are a company who's in the business of making silk preparation. And we have, tamago eggs and production. We have egg production dates. So that was the hint. This is something to do with silk production. A couple of people on the stream who saw this sent me some links. Dave, I got it figured out. And it turns out these are not a timetable for what doing silk production. These are the blocks here are used to print sheets of paper like this. I just printed these roughly myself, but the blocks were used to print sheets of paper like this. And these are the actual sheets on which the silkworm eggs are laid. Now, there's been lots of links going back and forth and back and forth. I've collected 3 photographs here that will just give you a quick show of what is actually happening here. Here's a photograph from a book published in the 1910s or 20s or so. I think we showed this the other day on the stream. What's happening here is this. The sheets of paper, like the ones you see here, they have been laid down on the floor. We can't see them because they've been covered up by wooden grids that have a bunch of circles on them. So the paper's on the floor, the wooden grids are on top of these paper. It's all happening on frames. I said the floor, but on frames. What this person on the right is doing, he is placing inside each cup, he is placing a silkworm moth. Now, most of the time when they grow the silkworm cocoons, they use them to make silk. But the same as a farmer who is growing wheat, he keeps back some portion of it, and instead of eating it, he uses it as seeds for his next year's wheat crop. These guys have kept back some portion of the cocoons, and they let them hatch. And out come silkworm moths. Some are male, some are female. They've got eyes, they can't see, they don't eat. They have one thing only to do in life. The woman sends out pheromones, the males come close, there's a DNA transfer, we know how that works, and then the male dies right away. And what this person on the right is doing, he is taking these female silkworm moths, which have been impregnated. They have wings, but they can't fly. They can just fluff, 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 fluff. He's putting one inside each cup. And over the next few hours / days, that moth lays 600, 700, 800 eggs inside that thing on the sheet of paper. And it's cool. This video, if you Google around, you can go down the rabbit hole and see this. The moth lays these things with a tiny dab of glue, and it never stacks eggs on top of each other. It always puts them side by side, side by side, side by side. So we have a circular group of little tiny eggs on these pieces of paper. Next shot I have, this isn't from Japan. The next picture here, this is from a group in India who is doing this still now. And we can see this a couple of days later. Instead of using a wooden frame, they've used little black plastic cups to keep the moth in place. And the moths have now, most of them have finished laying their eggs, and the moth then simply dies. That's life, whatever. Do your job and leave. And they're now cleaning these up. They're taking off the plastic cups, and in a moment, you'll see the video if you watch it, they pick up the sheets, brush off the dead moths, and the eggs are now glued to these pieces of paper. Now, next, I don't have a photograph of this, just a description of it. Aimi-san found this. Well, the reason they're in boxes and numbered and carefully, because the next step is inspection to decide which of these moths there was some specific disease that was happening back in those days, and that moth has it. Those eggs are destroyed. So you can see that's why they're numbered. Group number 12 here, these are bad ones. Chop, out they go, chop, 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 chop this out and get rid of it. So the next step is inspection to see which one. They're white silkworm moths. They're fuzzy, they've got little hair, they're really quite cute. Anyway, there you go. So the eggs are now on these sheets of paper. Now, I'm not quite sure what happens next, because when I watched this video from India, these guys in India, they took those sheets with the eggs on, and they now put them in buckets of water and soak it. And I guess what they do is they soak off the eggs, put them in a place, and then they hatch in a different environment. That's not what happens in Japan in the old days. They took these sheets, put them in racks. Ka-chuk, 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 ka-chuk. They went in the storehouse, proper temperature, whatever, and then the eggs start to hatch. And when the eggs hatch, you get these tiny little worms, and that's this next step. These ladies here, the eggs here have now all hatched. There's a billion little tiny worms rolling around here, and they're using the feather to brush them off onto the larger sheet, from where they get transferred to the big trays, and you know what happens next. Mulberry leaves, chop, 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 feed, grow, molt, feed, grow, molt, spin a cocoon, and away you go. That's how the cycle goes around and around and around. So these sheets of paper are the sheets on which the eggs are deposited. And we've got 4 of these blocks, and I was really fooled because the block that we've got it's scooped out quite deep. You know, when I heard the eggs here, I thought, I get it. The eggs are laid into these depressions. No, the eggs are laid on the sheets of paper. There's lots of video and description about that. And these blocks now, when I bought them, I was thinking, this is nice hardwood. We will plane these off, and we will use this to make some key blocks for future printing. Ain't going to happen. This is really a nice little antique artifact, and there's no way I will destroy this, even though I want to use the wood for something else. There's no way I'm going to do that. Of course, whenever it's something like this that has, you know, interest and value and meaning, there's no way I'm going to destroy it, even though I really would like to use the wood just as another piece of wood. So anyway, that's how that worked out the other day. I know I threw it away a bit too soon. We got the blocks. There's a bunch of different faces. Some of them are with large Japanese numbers. One of them even, and I'm not really quite sure why, is in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of the web pages we looked at said that there was actually an export business in these eggs. But some of these companies, they would prepare this, they would put the circles in place, they would lay the eggs on this, and at that point, those sheets became an article of commerce, and those sheets were exported in that format to different countries. Whatever, India is doing this now, so maybe that's the way. You know, the eggs actually were sold overseas on those sheets of paper. Anyway, there it is, a follow-up to last week's show and tell. When I opened the box from the Yahoo auction where I got these, I was totally, and I mean totally ignorant about what they are. But with a bit of help from viewers of the stream and a bit of help from Aimi-san upstairs, who really got interested in this, she dug around and found out what these actually are. So these become a very nice part of our collection. We'll sort of scan them and take photographs and put them in the collection online so people can understand what they are and what's going on. Okay. The post guy hasn't come with his big package, so that one will have to wait for another day. In the last 5 minutes here, we'll take a quick look at a new show and tell item. Let's take the outside camera here, shrink it down a bit. The females can't fly because they're weighted down by the eggs. It could be that, I guess, but when I saw the videos of this, those moths, they just have tiny little stubby, tiny wings, and I can't imagine how they could fly. I mean, moths that we know, like butterflies, have you know, wings that would push the air. So I don't know. All I know is that they can't fly, whether it's because of the eggs' weight or whether it's the stubby wings, whatever. I don't know. No idea. No idea. Good fun. Okay, here we go. This is another package. It came back from a Yahoo auction just a few days ago. You've seen this sort of thing before, but you maybe have not seen it in this format. We have in our collection here at Mocha Hong Kong a bunch of what are called kuchi-e, mouth pictures. In English, the translation is frontispiece. We've had a bunch of these before. What we have here today, it is a magazine slash book. I think it's the thing they call in Japanese now a MOOC. It's not a book and it's not a magazine. They call it a MOOC. Oh, good morning. Yamada-san, not the postman. And the reason I bought it is because it's a good example for us of the original format of the kuchi-e. We've got all the kuchi-e these days in the collections. They're all just loose prints with the fold marks. But we have one here in its natural environment. That wasn't a ninja, that was Yamada-san. And he is here today to do more photographing for the collection. More prints coming. More prints coming. And I don't, again, it's just the same as with those blocks that I showed you last week. I'm opening this, I'm seeing it for the first time, so I cannot give you chapter verse, this means this means this means this. But the idea to show you here now is, this is an example of how kuchie were found in their original format. You can see there's a fold line here because the things had to be folded. We sometimes see them with 2 fold lines. They're folded in 3 to go inside the magazine. And the magazine itself, this is not a woodblock magazine. It's printed. Oh my God, I got a bonus. Wow, I did not know this was in here. We have a bonus. Another woodblock print folded inside. So the magazine is printed with an early form of press printing. And the illustrations, because they had no simple way of doing color lithography at this date, the illustrations are woodblock prints. It's a magazine clearly about kimono pattern or dyeing or something. And let's see if we can find a date. This is advertising. Do we have a date here? These are ads. Magazines published at the beginning of the first of every month. Where do we have a date? This is Tokyo City. Taisho 8. So whether it's advertising a book published in Taisho 8 or this magazine is Taisho 8. Oh, advertising for woodblock print collections. No way! With a correction even stuck inside it. This is dynamite information for us. We have a bunch of prints upstairs, you know. We got them in collections from early Taisho, whatever, and we can't date them. But if we can find something like this, if we can find the magazine advertisement that was advertising that particular publication or those things, we know the date, we know what's going on. It's super, super, super information. Okay, this is going to be a nice treasure. It's a magazine clearly about dyeing or kimono fabrics or something like this. I'm not even going to try and attempt to read all of this for you, but this is just an example of how the kuchie prints came to the consumer. Many people would, after they didn't need the magazine, they would take the print, tear it out and keep it, and the magazine would just be discarded. But we really don't have very many left in this format. And you can see the woodblock print has been bound in with the rest of the magazine with the string at the same place. We really should show a bunch more of the kuchie, you know. Oops, I'm going to spoil this. Let me put it back carefully. I know this is not part of today's official show and tell, but we have many, just to show you what the concept is. The kuchie prints that we usually see these days, we've got them like this. As I said, most of them have 2 folds where they were held in their particular magazine. So at some future stream and some future show and tell, we should look at a whole bunch of these because we've got a whole ton of these in our collection here. We know this one, of course. So this is one of the most famous kuchie ever now. But I thought that would be fun just to show you and just to see. We don't see many of them these days in their format like this. Okay, it is now 9:30. I have got to get to work. We have a ton of things to do waiting for us here. There are 2 people coming, Yamada-san's coming and Watanabe-san, and we are training them on photography for the collection. We have 5,000 items upstairs, and so far we have 424 of them photographed and in the collection on base. Only 4,600 left to go, and more coming in all the time. So I'm off. I'll see you again Saturday morning my time. It'll be Friday evening for most of you. Thanks for watching. See you next time. And as usual now, at the end of every stream here, we're supposed to do this to remind the rest of the world. You know what you need to do. You saw Yamada-san when he came in the door, and as soon as he comes down here and talks, we will all be masking up. Anytime there's more than 1 person in the group, this is what we do. See you next week. Thanks very much for watching, and thanks. Bye-bye. Quiet, peaceful day in Asakusa. See you later, guys. So long.